The entire restaurant erupted in laughter the moment she walked toward my table. Every head slowly turned in our direction, and I immediately understood why. My friends had secretly changed my blind date without telling me. Instead of the woman they had described for weeks, a heavily pregnant woman stood there with nervous eyes, holding her purse tightly against her chest as if expecting another rejection. My friends sat at the table behind us, whispering and trying not to laugh. They thought they had created the funniest prank of the year. They expected me to stand up, complain, or walk away in embarrassment. They had no idea that before the night ended, every single one of them would wish they had never planned this cruel joke. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is more powerful than appearances and everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that restore faith in humanity. For years, I had been the quiet one in our group. While my friends chased popularity, expensive cars, and social status, I cared more about treating people with respect. They often joked that I was too soft for today's world. According to them, kindness only made people take advantage of you. I usually ignored their comments because arguing never changed anyone's mind. A few weeks earlier, they insisted it was finally time for me to start dating again after spending nearly 2 years focused entirely on work. They promised they had found the perfect woman and refused to tell me anything except that she was beautiful, intelligent, and exactly my type. Looking back, I realized every smile and every excited promise had been part of their plan. As the pregnant woman reached the table, she looked even more uncomfortable than I felt. Her face carried the exhaustion of someone who had spent months fighting battles nobody else could see. Before I could say a word, she quietly apologized. She explained that she had only accepted the invitation because a mutual acquaintance had convinced her someone genuinely wanted to meet her. She admitted she almost stayed home because most people disappeared the moment they learned she was expecting a baby without a husband beside her. The laughter behind us grew louder. I glanced toward my friends. They were recording everything on their phones, waiting for the humiliating moment they could post online. Instead of leaving, I stood up, smiled warmly, and pulled out a chair for her. The restaurant suddenly became much quieter. For the first time that evening, she smiled. It was a small smile, cautious and uncertain, but it carried more gratitude than words ever could. As dinner began, I learned that her name was Emily. She had once dreamed of becoming an architect and had spent years building a successful career. Everything changed when her fiancé died in a tragic car accident only 3 months before their wedding. Only weeks later, she discovered she was pregnant. Overnight, the future they had carefully planned disappeared. The people who once called themselves friends slowly vanished. Some avoided her because they didn't know what to say. Others judged her without ever asking what had happened. Even members of her own extended family quietly suggested she give the baby up because raising a child alone would destroy her future. She chose her child instead. Every sentence she spoke carried incredible strength hidden beneath deep pain. She never asked for sympathy. She simply kept moving forward because another little heart depended on her courage. As she talked, I forgot completely about the people sitting behind us. Then something unexpected happened. One by one, other diners began smiling at our table. An elderly waitress quietly brought Emily a complimentary dessert and whispered that she hoped everything would be okay. A young couple nearby paid for our drinks without introducing themselves. Kindness has a strange way of spreading once someone chooses compassion instead of cruelty. Meanwhile, my friends grew increasingly uncomfortable. Their prank wasn't working. Instead of becoming the joke, Emily had become the most respected person in the room. Halfway through dinner, one of my friends finally walked over with his phone still recording. He loudly asked whether I was planning to become someone else's baby's father. The restaurant fell completely silent. I looked directly at him and calmly answered that becoming a father to a child who needs love would never be as embarrassing as becoming an adult who enjoys humiliating innocent people for entertainment. No one laughed. Not even his closest friends. He slowly lowered his phone. The manager, who had witnessed everything from the beginning, approached our table. Instead of asking us to leave, he politely requested that my friends stop disturbing other guests. When they argued, the manager explained that their behavior violated the restaurant's standards of respect and asked them to leave immediately. For the first time that night, they experienced the embarrassment they had planned for someone else. As they walked out under the eyes of every customer, nobody defended them. Emily quietly wiped away a tear. She admitted that she had prepared herself for another painful evening because life had taught her to expect rejection. She never imagined a stranger would choose dignity over public approval. The rest of the evening passed peacefully. We talked about dreams, family, childhood memories, and the future. We laughed more than either of us expected. Somewhere between dinner and dessert, two lonely people realized they weren't nearly as broken as the world had convinced them they were. When the restaurant closed, I walked her to her car. Before leaving, she thanked me for reminding her that good people still existed. The truth was that she had reminded me of something even more important. Real strength isn't measured by wealth, appearance, or popularity. It's measured by how gently you treat someone who has every reason to stop believing in humanity. Over the next several months, we stayed in touch. I attended doctor's appointments whenever she asked for support. We decorated a tiny nursery together. On the day her beautiful baby girl entered the world, I stood outside the hospital room with flowers in my hands and tears in my eyes. Not because I had planned any of it, but because sometimes life writes better stories than we ever could. The friends who organized the prank eventually reached out to apologize. They admitted that watching the entire restaurant reject their behavior forced them to confront the kind of people they had become. Some friendships quietly ended. Others slowly healed after genuine remorse replaced pride. Emily never forgot that first dinner. Neither did I. Years later, people still ask how we met. They expect some romantic fairy tale. Instead, we tell them the truth. Our story began with cruelty. But it survived because kindness refused to surrender. If this story touched your heart, please write the word kindness in the comments below. We'd love to know how many people still believe compassion can change someone's life forever. And if this story reminded you that every person deserves respect regardless of their circumstances, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more emotional stories that prove one act of kindness can change an entire